Welcome to Brain Vision.
Hello, today we'll be finishing up our discussion of discrete versus continuous variables. We'll start out with discussing the definitions of these two random variable types, and then we'll look at our last example of variable or data collection and determine if it falls under discrete or continuous variables. So, to start with, discrete variables are countable sets of distinct values, whereas any value within some interval can be continuous variables. Based on this, we know that discrete data is counted, whereas continuous data is measured. And due to that and how the data is collected, that means discrete variables always have to be integers, and they can never be fractions or decimals, whereas continuous variables can contain fractions or decimals, or however you're collecting that data, it can fall outside of the realm of integers. And here we have the examples we've gone over so far. Now let's see what our last example is. So today we'll be discussing the collective blood pressures of all patients seen in one day at a hospital. Now this one is a little bit more complicated than the ones that we've discussed before, but it comes down to how the blood pressures are collected. If we were discussing how many patients were in the hospital, then it would be discrete. However, because we're discussing the blood pressures, and that can be determined as fractions or a decimal of however they're measuring it that day, and then added together, we can end up with a fraction or a decimal value, which makes our final example collective blood pressures of all patients seen in one day at a hospital. We know that that is a continuous variable or continuous data collection.